Good morning, everybody. Welcome to wonderful Brazil. It is the first day here of competition. We're going to start off with the men. There's been a slight change in the judging formats. The riders will perform one trick per tack, and the best 8 tricks, the sum of those numbers will be their heat score. So make sure you check it out. There's going to be some insane action. So we made it all the way through the quarters and the semi-finals here today. Amazing action, and the guys were absolutely going huge. Highlights have been some riders like Ayrton Cosolino going huge as always. James Carew making it all the way through to the semi-finals against Camille Denanois. Local boy here in Prea, has been riding incredibly and is the guy to beat out there. Amazing moves.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Marcus. Yeah, really excited to be here for day 2, and just up there in the highlight reel there was all the action from a really huge day, the first day of the GKA Kite-Surf World Tour, round 6 here in Prea, and all the actions that you just saw yesterday was highlights from the men's single elimination, where we ran all the way through to the final. So that will be coming up a little bit later on today, the men's final between Camille Denanois, a French rider who actually resides here in Prea, and he will be up against Ayrton Cosolino, the current champion and reigning tour leader. So a mouthwatering final coming up there. In the mini-final for the men will be Mitu Montero against James Carew. But first order of business today, we are moving into the women's competition, so the women's single elimination. So that is going to start any second now.
Gotta be super cool to watch and to live broadcasting the evolution for the girls. I'm pretty proud to be a part of you guys' crew here. What a family affair. Oh, Prea is treating us so good. I don't came from this region, so for me it's a big trip, as I told you yesterday. But I have my roots of my family from the part of my mom from here, so I'm pretty proud to be surrounded from you guys and be in the ground of my heritage from my mom part of my family.
Yeah, beautiful part of the world. It's a pleasure for us to be here as well. And on your screen right there is ladies tour leader Carla Herrera-Aria from Tarifa. We talked a lot about Tarifa yesterday. Tarifa has a big influence on the strapless freestyle. Many riders, competitors are from there on this tour, and they are all progressing pretty much as a group, so we'll talk more about that later on. But just to give you a little history on the women's competition, so strapless freestyle is really quite new for the women. For whatever reason, the men, there were more men who got into it earlier on, and we didn't have enough professional women taking it on as a new discipline. As we said, the tour is only really 3 years old, so it is a really fresh discipline. But we have 8 women competing here today in the competition. And a real mixture of skills and experiences. So coming up in the next heat, I think, is Yalu Langare, 2 times wave world champion.
Cool.
And we also explained the idea of this tour is that it's a combination tour.
Oh, yeah.
So we have loads of women who are really, really into waves, but this kind of extra extension of riding a surfboard, the strapless freestyle, is still new. But as I said, riders like Yalu Langare have really been motivated to join the tour, because what we're trying to find is the most complete rider, the most complete surfboard rider, and that applies to the women's competition as well as the men's. So really excited to see them here, getting enough girls here for the ladder, and they are on a progression as much as we are.
Oh,
First live stream broadcast for the Global Kite Sports Association, so we expect things to be improving day by day here as well as we go on from our side.
I'm pretty tied to a Brazilian girl. They're going to be competing here. Marcelovic, she came from Rio. She's a multi-board rider. She do stand-up paddleboard. She's a terrific surfer. She's a supercharger surfer, so she's used to heavy conditions. And she came from a DNA of a family. Her grandfather was a kite surfer, a multi-sport guy. So she's going to be here. She's just doing like strapless kite surfing for a couple of months, but she's here, super excited to be a part of you guys' crew.
Yeah. Yeah, I spoke to her earlier on. We'll talk more about her when her heat comes up.
For sure.
So the format for today is the riders have 8-minute heats. and the judges are looking at 4 trick categories. And the trick categories that the riders have to fill, there's actually 8 of them, 8 different trick categories. So we have air tricks, back roll based tricks, front roll tricks, board off tricks, rodeo based tricks, and then there's handle pass tricks. They are fewer and much further between, and we haven't seen any as yet from the women, and there's only a couple of men doing them, but it's a category in there, and for sure a high scoring one. There's also kite loop tricks. We're in a windy location, so riders are going to be going higher and higher, and we can hope to see some kite loops. And we're hopeful of seeing kite loops from the women's competition as well. And kick tricks, so a little bit more of a skate element. So
I love the kick tricks.
Yeah. So they're great to watch. So we will be seeing some more of those. But as for the criteria that the judges are looking for, there are 4 criteria. So the scores will be on technical difficulty, height and amplitude, power, and risk factor.
The same criteria for the boys and for the girls?
Yeah, same criteria as well. So so our first 2 competitors are on screen for this heat, and we are joining the heat. Looks like we're joining the heat towards the end. So competition underway quite early this morning. And your live stream coming up to you beginning just at the end of the heat by the looks. Carla Herrera-Aria, the current tour leader, against a new rider on the tour. Her name isn't exactly correct on the screen there. It's actually Sabine Boucaliers. She's from Belgium. She's 51 years old.
Oh my God, how cool is that, man?
Yeah, a real kitesurf lover. Very, very into waves and traveling, and found herself here in Prea in Brazil, and thought why not enter. And she's been doing a fair bit of strapless freestyle, and said she's been enjoying that sort of skate style trick, but it's very much more at home in waves. So so we'll see how she gets on in this competition.
Amazing. Let me do a little shout out to our audience in Portuguese. Okay, Jim?
Yeah, for sure.
Bom dia, galera. Vocês estão assistindo aqui um campeonato global, mundial, um circuito mundial, na sua penúltima etapa no Brasil. A gente tem feito uma transmissão no dia de ontem toda integralmente em inglês. A gente vai começar a fazer um pouquinho a cada bateria, pelo menos um update em português para vocês que não têm o domínio da língua inglesa. É um prazer estar aqui representando o meu país num circuito internacional globalizado, com várias línguas, o português, o inglês, o francês, o espanhol. E estar do lado desses ingleses que estão aqui comigo no broadcast é um grande orgulho para mim. Obrigado por todos vocês, pela audiência, amigos de Cabo Verde, amigos de Portugal, todas as pátrias de língua portuguesa espalhadas pelo globo. Aquele grande abraço, positive vibration para vocês. Thank you all for coming here. Obrigado.
Beautiful sentiments, I'm sure, Marcus.
Oh, for sure. Brazilian, Cabo Verde, Portugal, Mozambique, Brazil. We all share like a passion in our hearts, in our veins. We are pretty down-the-earth type of people, so we are pretty connect with our folks, no matter where they come.
Great. Well, we are really, really enjoying being here in the northeast of Brazil in the Ceará state, in Prea.
Likewise.
One of the most formidable kitesurfing locations. Thousands of kitesurfers come here for their holidays over a really long season, actually 7-month season here in Prea, stretching pretty much from July through to January. And here we are in November, when the wind statistics pretty much are 25 knots by the afternoon, 100% of the days in the month. So
this is amazing.
What a time to run a competition, exactly.
Oh my God, perfect scenario.
So Carla Herrera from Spain, as we mentioned, against Sabina Boucaliers from Belgium. There was a slight change in the. This is the first time that we've run a live stream. It's also the first time that the judges on our tour are using a live scoring system. So
cool.
they have been scoring in the past with iPad technology,
okay.
and the technology recognizes the tricks and puts them into trick categories.
Okay.
But there is a slight extra technical element when we're doing a live stream as well. So
oh, yeah.
Ordinarily in a heat, a rider can do as many trick attempts as they want. Usually this tour is very, very appealing to the spectators. Depending on where we go, some locations have a lot of spectators on the beach because we're close to a community.
Oh, yeah.
And other locations in more remote areas, there might be less. But anyway, generally it's based around crowd entertainment. So you can imagine when there's a few riders on the water doing loads and loads of tricks, you can kind of never predict what's going to happen. They're going off like fireworks. But obviously for the live stream and for looking for more quality over quantity, it's a progression, and so the riders, you will see that they will probably only do one trick on the way out, and maybe one trick on the way in.
Okay.
There is a gentleman ladies agreement that you know, just to pay a little bit of attention as to whether the other rider is doing a trick at the same time.
Okay.
A judge has to look at the trick, analyze the trick, enter the trick into their scoring system, takes around 15 seconds, and then look back up on the water again.
There is a whole process.
Yeah, so you know, if there's loads of tricks going off back to back, then riders, you need to appreciate that that's quite hard work for the judges. It's also quite hard work for the live stream, and we don't want to miss anything. So, so we can expect a steadier flow of tricks. Carla Herrera making her way around a rodeo back roll there. Back roll based tricks are pretty much the core of the competition at the moment. As when you generally learn to kite surf, one of the first tricks that you will learn is a back roll. It's a really nice feeling trick, really
it's
nice
so
and floaty.
plastic to watch.
Yeah, and nice here with the kickers, small kickers coming in from the right. So a rider will just edge the board up into wind and allow the wind to help them to go round. Not doing too much with the kite at this stage in the basics of the trick, and coming into land. Obviously, without foot straps, it makes it much more difficult.
We're going to have a little commercial break, guys. We're going to be right back with more action to come here. So stick around.
And we're back after the first heat of the day here at the GKA Kite-Surf World Tour in Prea, and we are in the women's single elimination competition. Coming up next is round two of round two. Don't be too confused by the fact that we're in round two. It's just the way that the format ladder works with the number of riders that we have. We have 8 women. And the way that the draw ladder has worked means that there are some buys in round 1, and we are directly in round 2 with a ladder of 8 women. Carla Herrera, current tour leader, has just been on the water. She was against Sabina Bukaliers from Belgium, a 51-year-old, who for this, it was her first event. Her local spot, where she trains a lot, is the Brugge in Holland. Yeah, great to see some new and fresh faces on the tour this year. Obviously, this is the first time that the tour has actually visited the American continent, and as such, we see some new riders entering, which is always good to see. This is a fresh, new discipline, so many of the riders that you're going to see are going to be new names to you, and we will talk you through them as much as we can. About to start the heat. In fact, there goes the horn, so that is the start of the heat now. We have Charlotte Carpentier, who's 3rd on the tour this year, and she's going to be up against Sonia Bunte, who is on your screen right now. Sonia's from Germany. She's 41. And she has a pretty good history for some of the competitors here in this tour. Although this is her first event, on the German scene, she's done the racing championships before, as well as PKA slalom, and her best result ever was 2nd in the Germany racing event in 2015. And she's also finished 10th at the World Cup St. Peter-Ording in 2014. So really stiff competition at that one. St. Peter-Ording in Germany is one of the biggest competitions of the year, based in one of the biggest markets for kite surfing. All the brands get behind that event. It's a really big show, so many riders compete there. So if you can manage to make your way onto that tour, then you're doing pretty well. But anyway, this is a kite surf competition now, so she's made the switch into waves, and as such she finds herself on this mixed tour that looks for the most all-round rider, and this is a flat water strapless freestyle event. The vision for having a flat water strapless freestyle event is that the progression towards taking some of these maneuvers into waves in the future is where we are going to be at. So we're just at the start of that journey now. as we see Charlotte Carpentier on your screen, recently switched to core from F1, so no doubt getting used to some
She's no longer on F1?
New equipment as well. No, she is recently signed to core.
I love her board, man.
Core
Nice
one
wedges.
yeah, it's pretty much a freestyle based board, kind of squarer, much flatter.
No rocker, almost.
Yeah, so really good edge and rail grip for going upwind, and popping for tricks, and also really quick to get going. So planes,
it's a fast board.
Yeah, planes through lulls pretty well. So so really important with tricks is to be able to maintain a constant speed. More traditional shortboard surfboards with a lot of rocker and a lot of rail shape are made to kind of hug and grip the water around a turn.
They're slower.
Yeah, there's much less hug and grip needed around a turn. It's more about rail, edge grip and pop, and also control on landing. And that's why a kind of squarer, flatter board's going to help here. Nice little back roll transition from Charlotte. The winds aren't quite as strong as we had yesterday afternoon. It is still 10 to 11 in the morning here in Prea. And generally in these super regular hairdryer winds, we'd expect a peak of around, can be up to 30 knots here in the afternoon around about 3 o'clock. So,
do you think right now is like 18 maybe?
Yeah, it's kind of coming up to 20. You can see there's not as many white caps on the water as we saw yesterday afternoon. So, so it's a bit less windy today. It did start pretty overcast here this morning, and there was a brief second of rain in the air. So. Quite strange for this time of year. I'm told that around February, March, there's actually quite a lot of rain here in Brazil. I mean, these lovely palm trees have to get fed at some time, I suppose.
For sure. Yeah, from time to time, man.
So, on your screen, Sonja Bunter from Germany, 41, entering her first competition here for the GKA, although, as I mentioned, has some experience in slalom and World Tour racing as well. And what we've seeing is a lot of the riders enjoy making the switch into different disciplines in kiteboarding.
Cool.
It's one of the great things about the sport is that we have this tool and this power source that allows us to ride many different boards.
It's a lot of fun to watch, like the clash of generations between the old school girls from another divisions of kite surfing, another scenario, being here clashing with the new girls.
Yeah, exactly. Charlotte Carpentier has done every event on the tour this year. She is from France. 27 years old, from Montpellier in France. She's actually been riding strapless for 18 months, so joined the tour after 6 months of making the transition from freestyle. Again, is another rider who finds herself really at home in waves, really enjoyed the Cape Verde stop this year. This is round 6 of a 7-stop tour. We started the tour in Cape Verde at Punta Preta, one of the spiritual homes of wave kiting, and every rider enjoyed that. And we will be having more and more wave events as the tour progresses. 2020 tour is looking stacked already. A really big program of events coming up for next year. But as we say, this is the penultimate stop of the 2018 championship, and we'll be rounding it up in Torquay, Australia next month. And that event is going to be a mix. Part wave, part freestyle. So really excited to see how that plays out. But right now, Charlotte Carpentier coming in left foot forward, back in towards the beach. Sending the kite up for a little egg into a rodeo. Can she get it in landing? Not quite. Needs a little bit more height at the minute. What we saw from the guys yesterday afternoon in the stronger winds was they were able to get much more height, and that allows quite a bit more chance to get the board underneath for landing. Obviously, it's a bit more technical to get height, and a bit more commitment in the kite as well. Charlotte spinning around a one-handed back roll there, just not quite getting it right. The waters are a little choppy here. Really good general free riding conditions. And the wind is smooth and it's pretty perfect, but it does take riders a little bit of time to just adapt to the conditions. As I said, this is only the first day of competition. It's the first round of competition for the women, and it's the 3rd time we've had the women on tour this year. Sorry, 4th. I apologize. So the 4th time we've seen Charlotte Carpentier in competition. looks like she's taken a lead over Sabina, who hasn't competed before, is generally a wave rider.
It's the first competition for her?
Yeah, first
Here in the
competition for
strapless
Sabina.
scene?
First in strapless, yeah. Has a pretty good heritage in racing, particularly on the German scene.
So she's used to strong winds.
Yeah. Yeah, very used to strong winds. Most riders generally prefer strong winds. Obviously, the lighter the rider, the more strong a wind can feel. But
Sure.
generally in the afternoon, all the girls have said that 25 to 30 knots is pretty strong for them. You know, they're giving away sort of 30